First, just your general thoughts on the game today and also the weekend.
It's always good to win. Being successful and winning 2 games in a row, sweeping on the weekend. This was a team that we had to win. We were expected to win, and we did produce. I don't think the polish was what we expected or what we're capable of doing. But also as the first game for our goaltender, and I thought Trey played extremely well for us. We hadn't played in quite some time, and gives us an awful lot of depth in that position. There's also a game today that I gave other players opportunities, and they did well with it. So there's a lot of positives in that game. I mean, you got to sort through them or have a conversation with me with what I was trying to do, and I think we're pretty successful with it.
And maybe talk a little more. What was your decision to start with Flesh today? Croswell's been playing solid, and so is Linus as well.
I wanted to make certain that we have depth in the position, primarily, just like all the other outskaters. Having competition in practice is most important. Our goaltending has picked up substantially since break. Not only the addition of adding a goalie coach, Luke Venker, but also additional practice time with the goalie coach. It's been a heated position of who's going to get that starting role and who's going to have the confidence to take us where we want to go to. So everybody's got to play games, and then giving Trey his opportunity to play a game, he took advantage of it and just tightens the noose on everybody else. So it's just primarily to pick up the competition within practice and within that position.
Goaltending was solid today. One of the weaker spots compared to yesterday was the rush to the neutral zone. It seemed like Indiana was working on the stretch pass, and it worked for them a bunch of times. They got some odd man rushes today. Yeah,
Indiana played a lot better today. It's I think when you have an opportunity, not only one game behind you, but also you don't have to concern yourself, as they did yesterday at the long bus ride in, and then all of a sudden, play in our barn. It makes a difference. So it was a better team. They did some line juggling, and I think the chemistry produced for them, and they're just a much sharper team today than they were yesterday.
On the special teams, Lindenwood looked pretty strong on the penalty kill, and you got some offense actually on an extended penalty kill. But the power play was streaky at times. There were some times it looked really good, and then other times it didn't really set up.
Well, our penalty kill is once again we did something different. We became far more assertive through the neutral zone and also on the forecheck. And what it did, it not only created distress but also odd man opportunities. And the skill that we have, it wasn't just preventing the power play from scoring. We want to make certain we put pressure on them, and saying so it produced goals. So at that time and in that juncture of the game, thank God that we did have 2 shorthanded goals, because we had to kill off a 5-minute major. We relinquished 2 power play goals, so that becomes a wash, and then things solidified throughout the rest of the game. But I felt that our penalty kill was really good today.
Discipline and the amount of penalties today, is that a concern going into the stretch run?
Yeah, it is. It's a major concern for me. I'm very insecure now, not knowing what type of self-restraint that I'm going to have in some of the players. You try to nip it in the bud and make certain that it doesn't establish any kind of history, especially when I give players an opportunity to play on privileged ice time. There's a lot of negative ways that I'd like to keep inside my room, but it's the type of response that I got from giving privileged ice time isn't what I expected or should I ever expect. So it provides an awful lot of insecurity going in. So hopefully the players are closer than I am to each other, and hopefully they can solidify some cohesion to make certain that we're far more disciplined.
Senior nights are a special event, senior weekends and everything. Do you feel that played a role, maybe the extra emotion in some of the inconsistencies on the taking penalties?
Yeah, I don't know who they're trying to impress. I mean, when you take the retaliation penalties that we took, all it's doing is, magnifying your ignorance. And the retaliation penalties is nothing but ignorant. I'm better off at making certain that we win the game, we get our goals, we increase our power play percentages, and also increase our point production for players that normally don't get it. Nobody got hurt. Was it an aggressive game? Yeah, it was an aggressive game. But if you're physically and mentally prepared, like I hope all college athletes are, you need to have thick skin and roll with the punches. And it's all the saying is old, and why there's old sayings out there is because they're good and they're lasting. You take a number and you wait for your opportunity. Waiting for your opportunity we didn't. It was a immediate response, and normally the calls go on to retaliation. So I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with the presentation of some of our players, even though it's senior night. It was the last night that we played in front of our home fans, and only to win a Central States championship and a national championship would potentially take an awful lot of tarnish off of that last performance.
And now the attention turns to the final road games coming up against some tough opponents, Iowa State and Robert Morris, Illinois. How does the team prepare for those two tough opponents on the road?
Well, I was hoping to use this weekend, even though the pushback was there with Indiana, the skill wasn't. When we go to Robert Morris has had a fine season. It's a full team that's returned, except for maybe one or two players. It's a well-coached program, and a team that's been getting an awful lot of attention in the college polls. They're getting ranked extremely high. They had a rough weekend last weekend, but it's a quality team, and I know they're waiting for us. It's going to be a good weekend. It's a great weekend for ACHA hockey, and two of the finer teams in the country are going to be playing at Robert Morris. So we practice the same way. I mean, we play hard. We make certain that we're polished, and we'll take the way that we play into Robert Morris, and hopefully we become successful.
First, let's just have your comments about today's game. It was a chippy game at times, but the offense seemed to click at the key periods, and you guys got a big win tonight.
Go ahead and start off.
It's not the most talented team we've played all year, but overall we stuck together and busted out the win. Big 3 points, right? Conference game.
Yep.
So we're happy about that, and cherished a good senior weekend with all the boys.
And it was the last home weekend. There's a pretty big home crowd, so a pretty nice way to go off. And now that you guys finished up on the road to finish the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to get focused for these games sometimes. Based on their record and after last night's game, sometimes it's hard to get up and start on time, basically. And as you could tell with that game, we gave up 2 early breakaways. They had good opportunities early in the game, but Trey, in his first start, played very well for us and allowed us to have a chance to win that game later on.
What's your favorite moment playing for Lindenwood hockey?
Oh man, it's hard to say. There's just been so many great times. I was just really happy to get the chance to play with the D1 team. I started off on D2 along with Zach here. Me and him actually grew up playing together. So it's actually really cool to spend a senior night with a fellow friend like that.
Just follow each other around, huh?
Yep.
My favorite memory playing with all these guys is just being around the locker room, on and off the ice. Good group of guys. We came in as freshmen. We were 18 years old, looking up to the older guys, the seniors, and it's weird to be in our position now as the older guys. And it's special that all these guys look up to us. So we're just trying to set a good example for them, and they'll be in our shoes one day.
Speaking of being in your shoes one day, what would you say to the younger classes, of the freshmen coming in next season, and future generations of Lindenwood hockey players?
Just put in the work on the ice and off the ice, and just enjoy every moment because it goes by like that.
I would say there's not always next year. As a freshman, you come in, you have a successful season. Maybe you don't win the national championship, but you look at it, and there's next year. There's next year to get better, to work harder, to put in more time on and off the ice. Now we're at that point. We got 4 games to go, and then playoffs, and there's not a next year. So, that really kind of hits home.
And now that the attention turns towards the last few games of the regular season, and what are the goals for the next few weeks?
Well, obviously the goal is to win. Just getting good habits and play hard. That's basically all you got to do.
Yeah, we definitely have the talent in the locker room to win a championship. It's absolutely there. Just being smart, coming together, and finishing off strong, getting hot at the right time is real important.
Good job.
Good. Cool. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
And good luck for the rest of the season and also in your future as well.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks for everything.
Thank you.